if you just have self-awareness with no emotional management tools, that can be worse for you. So in addition to self-awareness, you also want to increase your self-management by learning and practicing and applying emotional tools, emotional coping tools, so that you've got both spectrums, the awareness, the hopefully ever increasing awareness, but complemented by the tools necessary to manage those emotions that you're aware of.
Welcome to the EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast. Like most business owners, you already know you need good business and marketing strategies to scale and be profitable. But at some point, you've hit the dreaded wall where you feel stuck and frustrated. EQ for Entrepreneurs is for business owners and leaders who are honest enough to admit that they just might be the ones holding their business back and are brave enough to change that.
We're Noble and Kathy, and every week we're having candid conversations about all things emotional intelligence and how growing that has allowed us to get out of our own way and is radically transforming both our businesses and our personal lives. This is the secret sauce strategy for modern entrepreneurs who are tired of hustling without seeing results and want to grow a business and a life that they love.
What is going on, entrepreneurs, leaders, and influencers? Really excited about today's topic because today's topic is about you. So thank you for watching on our YouTube channel or listening on our podcast, EQ for Entrepreneurs. Totally appreciate the support. Many of you all have heard maybe some of our other episodes. We're over 30,000 downloads. And again, that is because of you all. Thank you for sharing episodes that you're finding valuable, maybe with some of your friends or family members that maybe need some encouragement, or some of the equipping tools we talk about, the emotional tools we talk about. Thank you for rating, reviewing, subscribing. Really appreciate, again, the support. And we love being a part of your journey. We love being a part of your emotional growth journey, just like you are a part of my emotional growth journey, because that is really what this is all about, is really sharing the lessons learned that I am having on my own real-time emotional growth journey. I am not coming from a perspective of, my PhD from some Ivy League school, or, based on my PhD or my degree. That is not it at all. It is absolutely because of the last 3 to 4 years of personal application in my own life. And I just want to continue kind of that theme with today. So I'm here at my daughter's youth group, and the wife of the youth pastor. And I mean, for me, she's a kid, because I'm old school. She's not much older than the kids that she's, kind of youth pastoring over. And she may be early 20s, probably. You've got a new little baby. Well, anyway, so boom, I'm at youth group. And one of the things that, she had just come out with her new little baby. And she said, "Noble, how are you and your wife doing? How are you guys doing?" Right? Because we got some transition going on, to move, to not to move. Just there's a number of different things up in the air right now. And, Kathy and I are doing amazing. Our daughters, as a family, we're doing amazing. Transition periods. And I think that is an episode that I did a while back on transitions, the whole thought process and mindset and emotional impact of transitions, and how to go through and grow through transitions from an emotionally healthy perspective, versus what can happen a lot of times in transition is a tremendous amount of trauma and unknown and uncertainty and unpredictability, and the uns, right? The uncertainties, the unpredictabilities, the instability, those all have the potential for causing and creating stress and anxiety, especially depending on our emotional healthiness level. The less healthy we are emotionally, the more stress and anxiety that can cause, transitions can cause. Conversely, the more emotionally healthy we are, the more emotional tools we have to go through and grow through transition points, the the less traumatic those experiences can be. And so, not that they still aren't, don't have some degree of stress or anxiety, regardless of how emotionally mature you are, but that definitely impacts. And so she asked us, she asked me, right? And again, just coming out of the main auditorium, whatever, hey, no, well, how are you and Kathy doing with your guys' transition stuff that's going on right now? And I said, wow, and I could tell, like, in her eyeballs, I looked in her eyeballs, because a lot of times when people ask you that, they really don't care. They're just checking the block. She cared. I could tell. The look in her eyeballs, she genuinely wanted a genuine answer. She didn't want me to just come out of, oh, hey, it's great, everything's good. No, she like legit, hey, no, how's it going? Like, I understand the craziness. We just, they had just moved themselves. They're doing RV life right now. Imagine that with I think their little guy is maybe, I think he's like 2 years old maybe. So they've got this, I said brand new. So he's not brand new. He's 2 years old. And, so 2 years old, and they're rocking RV life right now. Is a brand new young family. And so she's like, look, I understand that transitions can be hectic and crazy and have a lot of unknowns and stuff. And so she's like, no, I genuinely want to know, how are you guys doing? And so I said, man, well, thanks a lot for asking, first of all. And then second of all, I said, it's got its ups and downs. Before I would just normally say, oh, it's great, everything's, because again, if you guys have heard some of the previous episodes, I have used optimism my entire life as a coping mechanism because of my lack of self-awareness and my inability to identify or process and manage my own emotions and even the emotions of others. So thankfully, I'm more okay with feeling unpleasant emotions as well. And that just her taking the time and intention and attention to ask me, hey, Noble, how are you guys doing right now, really meant a lot to me. And I want to ask you guys, how are you doing right now? How are you doing? How are you feeling? How are you coping? How are you processing? How are you handling the different challenges that you're experiencing in your own life? And it may not be even negative challenges, right? Here's another kind of neat serendipity is and I won't go into a lot of details right now because a lot of it is still very, very unknown. We just started down this path with a potential amazing opportunity. And it could be mind-blowing, like literally mind-blowing opportunity. And there's a lot of emotions with that, especially with my background and track record and history of decades of self-sabotage and insecurities and people-pleasing addiction, and like the list goes on and on. And so facing this new potential amazing opportunity from an emotionally healthier perspective is incredible. It's amazing. But that doesn't mean that I still am not going through kind of, lots of ups with some downs also popping in there, like, oh, and even Kathy, oh my goodness. Kathy is rarely like this. And she's like, today, she kind of broke down a little bit. I'm like, babe, you all right? What's going on? And she's like, man, I just, like, this almost sounds too good to be true. Which is not something that she normally would say. And I said, well, and I had a coaching appointment that was literally going to start in any minute. Literally, it was like the next minute it was supposed to start. And so, but I said, babe, I want to revisit this emotion that you're feeling. Like, I said, do you know where it's coming from? And she said, no, not, I don't know where it's coming from right now. And I said, well, babe, let's explore it. I said, because, I have never been more excited and more confident literally in my entire life because of all the emotional growth that I've experienced over the past few years and the emotional freedom that I have now. And so I said, babe, like, I want to be emotionally present for you. I want to be emotionally available. I want to hear what's the origin story. Where is this coming from? Because it's important. We need to explore it. We need to figure out where it's coming from. And let's I said, but I want to just say, hey, it is absolutely okay for you to feel that way. And I want to go there with you. I need to start this appointment right now. So anyway, but it's important to do a check-in with yourself. And that's one of the benefits of this mood meter app that I've been using. My EQ coach recommended it to me. And again, it's like $1, I think, on the App Store, 99 cents. And it is really helping me increase my self-awareness, which is a huge, if there is such a thing as a shortcut to one's emotional growth, I would argue that self-awareness, increasing your self-awareness, is one of those ways to do that. Now, here's my disclaimer. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. From my own personal experience, I will tell you that, because the other thing too we just talked about, I think in this last episode that we did, if you just have self-awareness with no emotional management tools, that can be worse for you. So in addition to self-awareness, you also want to increase your self-management by learning and practicing and applying emotional tools, emotional coping tools, so that you've got both spectrums, the awareness, the hopefully ever increasing awareness, but complemented by the tools necessary to manage those emotions that you're aware of, that you're able to identify, and those tools will help you process those emotions that you are feeling. Again, whether they're pleasant or unpleasant emotions. But I just want to encourage you, really do, and whether it's the Mood Meter app or maybe you have other systems and stuff, but I want to encourage you to find and implement systems in your life that you can regularly and frequently check in with yourself. That's why I love the Mood Meter app, because it forces me to stop, pause, reflect. Okay, how am I feeling right now? And then once I pick which, because the way it works, again, if you've heard one of my previous episodes or, recent episodes, I talk about the Mood Meter app that asks you, are you feeling high energy or low energy? Are you feeling pleasant or unpleasant? Right, so pleasant, unpleasant, high energy or low energy. So you select which quadrant that is. Once you select the quadrant, then it comes up with 25 different emotions in that specific quadrant: low energy, pleasant, or low energy, unpleasant, or high energy, unpleasant, or high energy, pleasant. 25 different emotions in each of those quadrants, and then you pick that one. Then it defines it for you, what that emotion means, which is helpful for me as I am still learning and growing my own emotional vocabulary, which is in a very important step in the process. I think we covered that in our very first episode. Maybe it's the first, second, or third episode, somewhere in there, the early episodes, to understand and grow your grammar, your emotional grammar. And so once you do that, then it asks for why you're feeling that particular emotion, which again takes even more reflection. But the whole thing takes me maybe 30 seconds to a minute max. And just those check-ins a few times a day, the easiest way to start a habit is attach it to a habit that you already have. For me, whether it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'll try to do it maybe, in the morning when I wake up after I, do my devotions and stuff. Then I'll fill it out before I go to Jiu-Jitsu, maybe after I get back from Jiu-Jitsu, before a coaching appointment that I've got with a corporate client, after a coaching appointment I have with a corporate client, and then maybe once at night. So I'm averaging maybe 3 to 4 times a day on filling this thing out. And it's neat because it tracks, it shows you kind of what times of day you score, you rated wherever you were at, so you can kind of track some trends and stuff. But the point isn't the Mood Meter app. The point is to get better at taking care of yourself, at checking in with yourself. And then once you do that assessment, maybe you have 2 or 3 different check-ins a day, do you have a menu of options that you can go to that will help you, again, process whatever emotions you're feeling or feel better? Whether it's putting on some good tunes. For me, one of the things I love doing is putting on Jiu-Jitsu as my background music, so to speak. I put Jiu-Jitsu videos on our YouTube as my background kind of distraction or noise, if you will, while I'm knocking out work, that kind of thing. So that's something that's super helpful, is going through. That's for me. That's one example for me. Something else that I'll do is again, tunes. Something else for me as part of my kind of emotional therapy and stuff that really helps me out is my jiu-jitsu. Doing my Brazilian jiu-jitsu is also super helpful for me in again, mentally, emotionally, physically. That's a great tool for me that I use to as kind of personal therapy, if you will, is doing my Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And is it go like for my awesome wife, it's going on a walk. For her, going on a walk outside in the mountain air, seeing the mountains is massive therapy for her. That is massive way that she kind of takes care of herself and stuff. So do you have a list or a menu of ways that you can recharge, that you can take care of yourself? Is it going to the gym? Is it doing 10 push-ups? Movement is very healthy. Just getting the blood pumping, just even a little bit. Maybe some of y'all are different physical fitness levels, so you don't have to necessarily go for a 5-mile run. Maybe if that's good for you, great. But maybe it's little, maybe it's 10 body squats. Maybe it's 5 push-ups. Maybe it's, again, some of your favorite tunes. Maybe, figure that out. Figure out ways that you can have on standby in your proverbial pocket, so to speak, that you can, tools, ways that you can recharge, that you can, again, encourage yourself. Maybe it's putting on some praise and worship music. Maybe it's going through some of your favorite Bible verses. Maybe it's going through some of your favorite quotes. Maybe it's reading a favorite book that always gets you inspired or motivated. Maybe it's watching your favorite speaker on YouTube, or listen to some TED Talks. Maybe it's learning something new. Maybe it's doing something new, doing something you've never done before, going on a hike. Figure out, create that menu, because here's the deal. As leaders, I'm sure most of you listen to this are probably either leaders, entrepreneurs, you're high achievers, you're high performers, and especially for you all that fit that category, I feel like to increase our effectiveness as leaders, influencers, high achievers, high performers, high impact players, it's more important than ever to know and have immediately, readily available how and when we need to recharge and we need to take care of ourselves. Is it quiet time? Do you need 5 to 10 minutes alone with praying? Do you need 5 to 10 minutes of journaling? Do you need a 5 to 10 minute power nap? So much of performance and output and effectiveness is your energy levels. How are you doing at managing your energy levels? One of the corporate clients I'm working with, that was one of the things that we did, is just looked at how he could be more efficient and effective throughout the day. And his particular personality is called a phlegmatic personality, which is that's from a book called Personality Plus by Florence Littauer. And the phlegmatic personality specifically is very energy minded. They view, consciously or subconsciously, view everything through units of energy. How much energy is this task going to take me? Is this task going to take me? And it's a finite scale for them. And so they start off the day with 100 units of energy. By the end of the day, if they don't manage it properly, like this gentleman was not doing, he was not managing his energy effectively. So what was happening is he would go off to work and he would burn 90% of his energy units at the day job. So then he comes home at the end of the day and is trying to engage his wife, engage his children, be present emotionally, physically, mentally for his family with 10% energy left, which again, I'm sure some of y'all have been there. I have definitely been there. My time in the military, my time as an entrepreneur, my 2 decades as an entrepreneur, the whole hustle culture. I just read another article recently, literally yesterday, how the entrepreneur hustle culture is grinding people out. Surprise, surprise. Newsflash, right? That is not anything new. So if we become better, so what I did with this guy was I said, okay, let's put out a menu right now. What are some ways that you can steal 5 minutes here, 3 minutes there, 10 minutes there? that you can just do something to recharge. Get up, take a walk right outside in the sidewalk outside of your office building. Go lock yourself in an office room and stare at the wall for 3 minutes. Anything to build up that energy. I said, because here's the deal. If by you managing your energy more effectively throughout the day increases your overall productivity by 5% every day, 10%, 20% every day, and you have a greater output and productivity on your job, is your boss going to give you a hard time? I doubt it. And then not only that, is your performance at your job going to be better, but then when you get home, you're not getting home burning through the remaining 10% of energy you have left. If you do it right, you may get really good where you're being more efficient and effective throughout the day. You're coming home with 20% energy left, or 30%, or 40% energy left. So your productivity increases on your day job while being more efficient. It's kind of like swimming. One of my friends is a division, 1, 2, 3. She's a collegiate swimmer. And she looks like it, right? So she's like 6 foot tall, streamlined, looks like a F-16, fighter jet, without the wings, right? She's just totally streamlined swimmer body, right? Tall shoulders. She's got the perfect like design and figure for swimming. And then you got me. So if you haven't seen me before, I look like a baby rhinoceros. So part of my exercising was swimming, doing swimming laps, right? And there was a lady in the pool who was next to me. I was taller than her. I was stronger than her. I was definitely older than her too. And I'm doing like 4 strokes for every one of her 2 strokes. In 4 strokes, I'm like a quarter of the way down the length of the pool. She's like 2/3 of the way down the length of the pool on her 2 strokes. And I'm not even halfway mark with my like 3 or 4 strokes, right? Efficiency of strokes. So if we can apply that concept to our own energy management throughout the day, again, and we can learn how to do our freestyle or backstroke or whatever, more efficiently and effectively throughout the day in our day job. Again, whether you're an entrepreneur, leader, executive, entrepreneur, whatever it is, a military leader, then we can be more productive all the way around, not just in the day job, but also when we get back home to our family. And I wish I had learned this stuff when I was a lieutenant in the Army, when I was an airborne ranger in the 82nd Airborne Division, when I was an entrepreneur. I didn't learn this stuff when I was an entrepreneur. I would mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, absolutely burn myself out on a regular basis and wonder why I was so ineffective and not very productive. And now, again, 3-4 years into my emotional growth journey, and now it's like, wow, it's crystal. I did not at all take care of myself. So again, the moral of this lesson, of this episode is, I just want to encourage you, take time for yourself. You do no one any good by burning yourself out, by wearing yourself out. And I would say, not only is it hurting yourself, but it's hurting those around you, those you love, those you care about. When you don't take care of yourself, you're almost doing them a disservice. Not only, again, from a professional standpoint, but also a personal standpoint. You are doing your professional colleagues a disservice, as well as your personal family and friends a disservice when you exhaust yourself and wear yourself out on a consistent, regular basis. And and here's what would throw me off, is my pride and my ego. I had so much pride in my ego. I'd be like, well, I work harder than you. Well, I haven't slept. You haven't slept in 2 days. Well, I haven't slept in 3 days. Check me out. Who's better now, right? It was just this crazy. Again, that was when my people pleaser addiction was kicking in. One of the many areas that it kicked in, and I would pride myself in, I get less sleep than you do. it's literally like I was an emotional 5-year-old. And comparing, who works harder who works harder, who's driven more miles or flown more miles or visited more states or countries or whatever, building my, our various, business enterprises and stuff. And all the while not even realizing that I was doing all that stuff because of my emotional immaturity and my emotional unhealthiness. Realize that you can be successful in life for unhealthy reasons. And finally, for the first time in my life, I am producing and being and impacting and influencing from a much, much healthier mental, emotional, and spiritual state. And man, the freedom that comes with that, the emotional freedom that comes from that, the spiritual freedom that comes from that, the physical freedom that comes from that, being emotionally healthier is, I just want you all to experience it, y'all. I'm telling you. And here's what's so seductive about emotions is that, because you may think, well, no, but dude, I'm fine, man. I got no issues. I'm fine. Like you were really jacked up. Like you don't know me. I'm emotionally healthy or I'm whatever. No, what happens is we become functionally dysfunctional, or no, it's the other way around. We are dysfunctionally functional. Like what do you call it? The functional alcoholic, or what are they, where the alcoholic who's someone who's an alcoholic, but who can still function and still go to work and that kind of thing, even though they're kind of, they're alcoholics. That's what we do with our emotions. We are emotionally dysfunctional, but because we're such great survivors and such great adapters as humans, we figure out ways to adapt and overcome, even in and in spite of our emotional unhealthiness. And you may not even realize, especially if you have little to no self-awareness like me, you may not even realize the levels and the degrees and the ways that you are emotionally unhealthy and emotionally dysfunctional. And I just want to encourage you again to take care of yourself. Figure out those ways that you can take care of yourself, that you can be more intentional at taking care of yourself. Again, you're not doing anybody any good by wearing yourself out and burning yourself out. There's no pride, there's no benefit, it's less effective as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as a military leader. That's another thing we say in the military. You're to establish your priorities of work. And if one of your priorities of work is not a rest plan, if you don't have a rest plan in your priorities of work, and you try to have a functional, effective military unit who has not slept in 2, 3, 4 days, let's see how well you do against the enemy. Well, apply that same principle to business. Apply that same principle to life. Apply that same principle to your family. If your family has not, quote unquote, emotionally slept in 2, 3, 4 days, how do you think your family is going to be? How do you think? No one performs good when they are sleep deprived. Nobody does. There's all kinds of research and studies on that. Performance, decision-making, thinking, all kinds of stuff exponentially decreases the less sleep we get, the more fatigued we are mentally, emotionally, and physically. So anyway, take care of yourself. I just want to encourage you. You matter. You are worth taking care of. You are worth taking care of. So figure out those systems. And I'd love to hear them. If you come up with some good ways that you recharge that are helpful for you, let us know. Let us know, whether it's on our YouTube, whether it's on our whether it's, you email us, info@eqforentrepreneurs.com. If you send us a message on Facebook, whatever, we'd love to hear kind of what your thoughts are, what ways that you have found effective for you that help you recharge. If you'd like a scientific EQ, emotional intelligence assessment, you can go to eqforentrepreneurs.com/training. If you would like more information or get on the waiting list of our next 8-week course on emotional intelligence, you can go to eqforentrepreneurs.com/EQA. And remember, unaddressed emotional issues do not get better over time. They actually compound. And emotionally healthy people help heal other people emotionally.